Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Funke Afolabi Brown. So how long does it really take you to fall asleep? Have you ever wondered? Do you sometimes wonder if it takes you too long to fall asleep or you're falling asleep right away as your head hits the pillow? So there's so many things, there's so many factors that go into how long it takes us to fall asleep, and we'll be talking about that today. So there's a term, a medical term called sleep latency, or latency to sleep, is just a way by which we describe the time it takes you to actually fall asleep. So the time between when you turn out the lights with the intention of falling asleep and when you eventually sleep into sleep. Essentially, most people don't know. There have been studies that people have felt like it takes them forever to fall asleep, and it turns out that when that's measured objectively, for example, through what you call a sleep study, it doesn't really take them that long. And then there's some people that feel like, oh yeah, they fall asleep right away. Meanwhile, it's the reverse. On average, most adults take anywhere from about 10 to 20 minutes to fall asleep, and that's considered normal. In fact, in some situations, it may be taking up to 30 minutes to fall asleep. And so that's actually still within the normal or acceptable range. And it's helpful to understand that because I've had people falling asleep in 15, 20 minutes and they feel extremely overwhelmed and feel like they're taking a lot of time to fall asleep. Now that we also have, our devices and sleep trackers and things like that, people tend to worry a lot about what they get from those pieces of data. Not that it's wrong. I think it's helpful to objectively study how long it's taking you to sleep, but it shouldn't really become something that you're then perseverating on, because then that also makes it hard to fall asleep. That being said, you may be falling asleep too quickly if you fall asleep, say, less than 10 minutes, if it takes less than 10 minutes to fall asleep. So those are the people who may either have some kind of sleep deprivation. So you're so exhausted chronically that you then are falling asleep right away within minutes. And this may happen during certain periods of times and just goes away. That's fine. But if this is something that you're noticing that's a habit, it may be a sign that you are actually sleep deprived. Another reason why you may be falling asleep very quickly, again, within that constantly less than 10 minutes, maybe if you're taking certain medications that may be promoting sleep. Another reason, that's C, is things like alcohol. So alcohol ingestion actually acts like sedation, and so it makes you fall asleep very quickly, except then it can cause you to wake up in the morning still feeling exhausted. And then the other reasons why you might be falling asleep so quickly, maybe if you have a condition called narcolepsy. Narcolepsy is a disease, a sleep disorder, where you have this chronic inability to stay alert. You're chronically sleepy, regardless of how many hours of sleep that you get during the night. And usually this comes along with other features like hallucinations, a condition called cataplexy, where you suddenly lose tone with the emotions, as well as fragmented sleep, actually. So those are some of the things that you can see in narcolepsy. And another one you may see is what you call sleep paralysis, where you then just kind of wake up, but you're really not able to move or act or get out of bed. So those are some reasons why you may have a short sleep latency. And so those are some considerations to have in mind if you do have concerns that you may be having a sleep disorder or something medical that may be contributing. It's important to speak with your healthcare provider. Now, why might it take you a while to fall asleep? Why would you have a long sleep latency? Some of the reasons we can think about is a condition called insomnia. And insomnia is defined as difficulty with falling asleep, staying asleep, or early morning awakening. Now, when we talk about the long sleep latency piece, of course, that means difficulty falling asleep. The other piece is that it also results in you feeling tired or some kind of daytime consequences as well. There are different factors that can contribute to insomnia. And so that's a talk for a whole nother day. But that's one reason why you may take a long time to fall asleep. Another reason why you may be taking time to fall asleep are things like environmental factors. So, are there disruptions in your room environment? Is your room too hot? Because usually, for us to be able to fall asleep quickly, our body temperature drops. And so, the environment being cool and having a cool bedroom really helps you fall asleep quickly. Is there noise, or do you have lights that you're exposed to, and that's causing your brain, is really making it hard for your brain to really settle down and for that melatonin to be released properly for you to fall asleep. External factors, again, like discomfort or pain, things like that, can make it hard for you to fall asleep. So, those are environmental factors. Another consideration that may contribute to a long sleep latency, I would say, is caffeine. Most people tend to drink caffeine either during the day or socially, even after dinner. And caffeine, not just in coffee, but in sodas and iced tea, in energy drinks and the such, stays in our system for much longer than it should. Sometimes, in some people, the half-life, meaning that it takes about, for the time it takes for you to be rid of 50% of that caffeine, could be anywhere from 4 to 6 hours. So then if you're going to bed, say, and you had caffeine for dinner, you wouldn't be surprised if you're tossing and turning and it's been an hour or so. So that's caffeine. Then another contributor to a long sleep latency are mood disorders or anxiety, depression, and other mental health issues can cause your mind really to to be racing, especially at bedtime, and it makes it hard for you to fall asleep. If you do have concerns, or you have a family member that you're concerned about this kind of conditions, it's important to speak with your medical team too. Now, the last but not the least is the cause of a long sleep latency is conditions like restless leg syndrome. So those are medical sleep conditions which can contribute to discomfort, usually in the legs or sometimes in the upper limbs, that causes this kind of creepy crawly sensation, some describe it, which makes you have the urge to keep moving your legs. And so with that kind of discomfort, you can imagine that every time you're trying to settle down to fall asleep, that can make it harder in order to do so. So we've been able to talk about how long it takes to fall asleep, what's normal, what's not, what contributes to a short sleep latency, and what contributes to a long sleep latency. Again, if you have any concerns that you or your child has a sleep condition or a medical disorder that may be contributing to your sleep difficulties, it's important to speak with your healthcare provider so that you can talk about this in more detail. I hope this has been helpful. I would love it if you like this video, if you share and you'll subscribe to my channel. That way, once new content comes in, you'll be the first to know. And until next time, I hope you rest well.